And today I'm going to detail how maintaining a healthy gut also supports the lungs as part of what's known as the gut-lung axis, or the gut microbiota's communication with and influence on the pulmonary system. And a practical way to do that is to show you, conversely, how inflammatory bowel diseases like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, in which the adverse bacterial imbalance known as dysbiosis is a contributing factor, also hurt the lungs. But I'm also going to give you several natural ways to support the gut and lungs mutually. One of the first commonalities between the gut and lungs is that both develop from the primitive foregut, which is the embryonic system that gives rise to both the respiratory system and the upper digestive tract, like the esophagus and stomach. Additionally, the gut and lungs are both mucosal organs, which are organs that are lined accordingly with mucosa, a mucus-secreting membrane that protects against infection and abrasion. Inflammatory bowel diseases are chronic, relapsing gastrointestinal conditions characterized by immune cell infiltration, intestinal barrier hyperpermeability, and dysbiosis that can be broadly divided into Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And while one prominent difference between the two conditions is that the inflammation of Crohn's disease tends to develop in intermittent sporadic flare-ups, alternating with periods of remission, while ulcerative colitis spreads in a continuous fashion and is distinguished by inflammation confined to the first layer of the colon lining, known as the mucosal membrane. Immune system overreaction to the presence of microbes, toxins, or other foreign agents is regarded as one likely cause of both conditions. And here's where you can see the interplay between the gut and lungs, which both share countless immune cells, like neutrophils and macrophages. The intestinal inflammation and microbial spillover of severe colitis consequently triggers an immune response and the migration of said immune cells and the inflammatory cytokines they release from the gut to the lungs, leading to airway inflammation, small airway obstruction, and reduced diffusion capacity for carbon monoxide, even in the absence of noticeable lung symptoms. Colitis-driven lung damage isn't always symptomatic, but it can sometimes manifest as cough, shortness of breath, chest pain, and reduced lung function. Corticosteroids are often a common treatment method for IBD-associated lung disease, as are, unfortunately, antibiotics. And while corticosteroids do reduce inflammation, particularly in the anterior lining of the bronchial tubes, corticosteroids also suppress the immune response. Fortunately, again, there are several natural strategies for supporting optimal gut-lung interdependence, many of which offer amazingly synergistic benefits when utilized together, and I'm going to take you through each one right now. The bioflavonoid quercetin is supportive of both the gut and lungs, as quercetin directly reduces inflammation and the oxidative stress that can lead to lung fibrosis, or the scarring of lung tissue, while in the gut, supporting intestinal permeability and the growth of several strains of beneficial bacteria, like the butyrate producers cyanobacteria and actinobacteria, acting not only as an antioxidant, but also a prebiotic. Citrulline, despite being a non-essential amino acid, also has a positive effect on the lungs through its ability to increase nitric oxide, thus relaxing the lungs' abundant blood vessels, improving blood flow, and guarding against pulmonary hypertension. And in the gut, citrulline, like quercetin, also promotes gut barrier integrity, and while, unlike quercetin, citrulline doesn't directly support butyrate production, citrulline's reduction of gut inflammation does provide a more favorable intestinal environment for butyrate production, along with less inflammatory cytokines and reduced bacterial colonization in the lungs. Zinc carnosine, which is well known for unparalleled modulation of gut inflammation, is even beneficial for the lungs, as its amino acid component carnosine, well known for antioxidant support, thus contributes to less oxidative stress, inflammation, and tissue damage, while zinc binds to and activates the metabolic protein metallothionein. And while metallothionein is expressed in several organs, in the lungs, this zinc-dependent protein acts as a protective mechanism against heavy metals, oxidative stress, and lung injury. Vitamin K2, also known as menaquinone 7 or MK7, is also essential for the gut and lungs, as this critical fat-soluble vitamin halts the degradation of elastin, the primary protein of, accordingly, elastic tissue like the arteries, lungs, and intestines. Insulin resistance, which is the distinguishing feature of type 2 diabetes, and something that is all too common today, is also harmful to the gut and lungs, specifically as insulin resistance promotes dysbiosis throughout the microbiome, leading to increased levels of problematic pro-inflammatory bacteria and intestinal barrier disruption, and in the lungs, sharply decreasing lung capacity while increasing airway inflammation. So it's worth noting here that quercetin, citrulline, zinc, and vitamin K2 all support proper insulin sensitivity. It's important to remember that not everyone with an inflammatory bowel disease will experience lung complications. But if you are someone who's dealing with that, then I hope this gives you some insight into the biochemical crosstalk between the gut and lungs, and also some practical ideas for how you can support both organs mutually. Thanks for watching. I'm Jason Carter, and I'll see you next time on ENZYMENTAL. Stay healthy.